I was pleased and excited to have Daddy recognized, but as soon as I drove up into the parking lot, I felt really emotional, because it was just, I was overcome. And going around and seeing all the exhibits, that was really, really special as well. He did grow up very poor in rural Alabama, and his mother raised 6 sons. He was the youngest of them. And it was her encouragement that pushed him, he wasn't good at picking cotton or doing anything physical. And she said, that's all right, you don't have to do that. You're going to use your brains. You get your education, And so she always encouraged him. And he was always, and my mother as well, always saying to people, get everything you can in terms of education. And, they really did believe that, you stumble along the way, but you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. Don't let anybody stop you. And that's what this school is about. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get it done.
Their whole mantra as far as education was concerned was that knowledge was meant to be passed around. You share what you know, you help lift people up. So that was their whole mantra. So this is just wonderful. Dad always went around to different schools and told his story, and to inspire young people to give it a go, to persevere and to try. And so to have this school here, a community school where that goes on, is so important, to give young people a chance. It's so important.
I was the first student body president at James Rudder Junior High. And as being the student body president, it was my duty to introduce all the assembly speakers. And one of the first individuals that came to speak at our campus was Dr. Nathaniel Colley. And I was getting ready to introduce him, and he said, I asked him, well, what is it that you're going to be speaking? He goes, I'm going to be talking about diversity. And I'm like, what is that? And so, back in my age, that was very different. So anyway, to make a long story short, he talked about the diversity in our culture and in the Florin area with Hispanics and Asian and the black community. And it was just, something that was eye-opening to me. And then subsequently, when I attended Elk Grove High School, he also spoke there many, many times. And he was always active in all the high schools and stuff around the area to talk about that subject. So that's my introduction to it. But learning subsequently what he did, he had a huge impact on everything that happened in California in the civil rights movement. Why I think it's a fabulous tribute to him. I mean, again, I don't think there were a lot of people knew that how many different times that he spoke at schools. And so I think it's really important that he was honored in this regard.
Well, I'm really happy and honored to be here. I'm glad that Sacramento is putting some respect on Nathaniel Colley's name. I mean, he's such an important American and important Sacramentan. You look at his path coming from his humble background, coming from, going to the military, coming out here, making this his home. We lucked up. This could have been Portland. This could have been Seattle. He could have been someplace else, but it ended up here. I think probably the most important part of his legacy, probably unsung, was the integration, was the access to better schools. Because I went to Kennedy, right over here, and I had a student body. We were all the Asian kids, black kids, white kids, and it's because of his efforts that I grew up in Greenhaven with everybody, and we were all social status. There were poor black kids, rich black kids, middle-class black kids, poor white kids, rich white kids, middle-class white kids. Go through each one. It was all there. And we know that the race covenants that he helped break down in South Sacramento is what led to that. And so the quality of education that more kids had access to just because of his work, I think that's why, getting back to the education, and why it's very fitting that our educational building has his name on it.
We have this school that we've been planning in the works for many, many years. Of having this school could become a reality. And when we were discussing the name of it, we said, we need to pick someone from Sacramento. We need to pick someone that our students can relate to. We need to pick someone that has contributed to Sacramento, because it's time to highlight people that have done incredible things for our country. Nathaniel Colley, he fought for all of us. He fought for working people. He fought against discrimination. He fought against racism. He was a hero, not just locally, but nationally. And we need to teach our students correct history, the history of Sacramento, which includes Nathaniel S. Colley.
Yeah, I think it's very inspirational for all of us and for our kids here to have a beautiful facility like this named after one of the greatest champions for civil rights in Sacramento and in the nation. I think is beyond my wildest dreams for what we could do with a school.
In Sacramento, Nathaniel Colley's name was always number one, as far not only from a legal standpoint, but from a well-respected black person in this city. I mean, Nathaniel Colley was at the top. If these students would take Nathaniel Colley's philosophy and walk with their head up and not fear anything and believe in themselves, and I think good things are going to happen for them. I think to name a school after anyone is a tremendous honor. I think it's well-deserved, long overdue. I can't say enough the pride that it gives all of us is something that you will cherish for the rest of your life.
So growing up, I'd never even heard of Nathaniel Colley, which is a shame as we now know the history of Nathaniel Colley. How did a kid growing up in Oak Park not hear of him? So I started a journey of doing history research probably about 8-9 years ago. And in that research, I learned about Nathaniel Colley. The kind of person that Nathaniel Colley proved over and over again, the way things change for the better is because people lead and they stand up no matter what the circumstance was. Nathaniel Colley himself integrated with his own children a neighborhood. So, I mean, you imagine what kind of fears did he have doing that? I'm sure he feared for his children's well-being and all that, but he did it anyway. And so that's what, to me, leadership is. Real leadership is, you know, leaders are going to go through fire. They're going to have challenges, and they do it anyway. And that's what Nathaniel Colley did. And look, our neighborhoods are integrated a lot because of Nathaniel Colley. We can live, you know, there's still challenges. It's not where he would want it to be. But we are where we are at now because of people like Nathaniel Colley who stood up and said, no, this is not acceptable. This is not what our country should be about. And because of him, I'm able to live where I live. So that's why I think naming schools after people like Nathaniel Colley and having meaning behind these walls and this paint and these windows changes lives, and I'm sure it will.
Mr. Colley had a great influence on my life. I worked for him for 5 years right after I got out of law school, and I learned a lot just by being around him and watching him. As a member of the board, we wanted to do something for Mr. Colley, and we were able to get this school, and we were just trying to live out his dream of making the community a better place and helping kids that don't know exactly what they want in life. So I hope that's all I can say at this point. It's kind of hard to put in words what he means to me and what he means to the city of Sacramento and to the United States. His work was untireless. He always worked for the better of everybody else rather than himself. He was always looking forward to how it would benefit the community. And that's one thing I can take from him, and the way he collaborated in order to get that done.